Hello and welcome along to the 2013 preview of the Breeders' Cup for attheraces.com. In this section with Steve Miller and Jason Weaver, our US experts, we're going to look at the juvenile turf races on day one. And the second of those comes up as the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. It will happen at 10:50 UK time, $1 million in the pot, and it's run over a mile on the turf. And interesting, this is a race which has been won by 4 of the 6 European raiders in recent years. George Vancouver adding a second win in the race for Aidan O'Brien last time out, adding to Rote's victory in 2011. And this year, the Ballydoyle team are represented by Giovanni Baldoni, one of a handful of runners for the European contenders. We also have Godolphin's Outstrip in there, Wilshire Boulevard for the Aidan O'Brien connections as well, Shamshon for Richard Hannon, taking on the best of the US juveniles. And I guess, Steve, the obvious starting point is with Aidan O'Brien after his last 2 wins. Giovanni Baldoni looks like his favoured runner here.
Yeah, it looks like the best chance that I think Aidan has overall, totally on the card here. Drawn very well. The draw on Monday evening in California went against him, bar this horse. Drawn well, Ryan Moore in the plate. This is a spectacular, spectacular performance. Yes, as you can see, it's at Dundalk on the all-weather. But Aidan O'Brien has a great record in this race, and he knows what kind of a horse it takes to go over and win in California.
He was only 4 lengths behind Torrimore, of course, at the Curragh. His 2 wins either side of that were very, very impressive.
And he came a week after his debut win as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's rapidly come through the ranks. You've got to be impressed with that. Ryan Moore, fresh off the back, of course, of Joshua Tree, in tip-top form, rearing, snarly, angry and ready to go. That's what we want on board. And no, he's a contender.
And Aidan O'Brien will be hoping the Warfront colt can do the job there, because he's got declaration of war in the Classic by the same sire. But let's have a quick look at some of the other European contenders. Steve, we've got Outstrip. We've seen him arrive on the track for Godolphin this week. Again, a horse that they earmarked for this race. Looking for that first Group or Grade 1 contest for Charlie Appleby. And here he is winning the Champagne at Doncaster in pretty impressive fashion.
Yeah, of course. And you mentioned Warfront in behind War Command. That in the Dewhurst, that was a very, very good run. Great story this would be with Charlie Appleby stepping in, first-year trainer, to win at the Breeders' Cup. Yeah, a little diminutive colt. Looks like he will handle, Jason, you know, the Santa Anita turf course.
Yeah.
He's got the build to handle those tight turns, which could play. And, of course, we've got, you know, with War Command, he's the Guineas favourite for next year, one of them at this point. It's pretty darn good form from the Dewhurst.
He was impressive at Doncaster. I have to say, I was there, I saw him in the flesh, I liked him a lot from a physical point of view. Everything this year will be, you know, very much a bonus. The ground is the all-important thing. It's never been anything but soft and good ground that he's raced on so far. I think he can improve, and he is a major player for the boys in blue.
There's a couple more for the Europeans that probably do need to improve. The Richard Hannon trained Shamshon, Wilshire Boulevard, probably the second string for Aidan O'Brien. So we'll have a quick mention, Steve, if we can, of the best of the US juveniles, starting with Bobby's Kitten, and it's phenomenal, isn't it? One of 8 runners, I think, in the Breeders' Cup for Ken and Sarah Ramsey. They're big fans.
I mean, they've had just a year of all years. Champion at Churchill Downs, champion at Keeneland, champion at Saratoga, setting records wherever they go. This is a nice horse, and look, everything is a kitten. Kitten's Joy is the most, well, they breed 250, whatever. You want a mare and foal to Kitten's Joy? Go ahead, bring them in. And look, they're of the numbers, not quality, quantity, not quality, and they're getting good runners. Kitten's Joy is a tremendous horse. Look, you've got Javier Castellano, Chad Brown, only 1 mark against it, went on to win the Pilgrim, as we just saw there. I mean, of the hometown horses, the 5-2 morning line may be a little bit too short for me, but if the Europeans don't fire, you've got to take this horse seriously.
Yeah, he's a player. One of the bit of a price that I do like is Poker Player for Wayne Catalano. He's done little wrong. People will argue again, they'll go down the Times and say that he needs to go that little bit quicker, which is understandable. But for me, his late pace running style, I know that he's posted a little bit deep on the track, late pace running style, I think it'll suit.
So Poker Player at a big price?
At a big price, I think he'll go well for Wayne Catalano.
Steve?
I'm gonna have to sit. I'm not going to sit on the fence here, but I always say go with the Europeans, and I think Giovanni Baldini has to be the one. Aidan O'Brien knows what it takes. Ryan Moore in the plate. Of course, you may be wondering why Joseph only has the 1 mount. It's 122 pounds or 8 stone 10 is what all the Aidan O'Brien horses carry, bar the 9 stone of the Classic, and we all know that Joseph unable to do less than 9 stone at this point in his career, so it's gone to Ryan Moore. He's taken over. Mike Smith will ride Outstrip. Very interesting. Just wanted to touch on that. They don't take Mikel Barcelona to America. They go to Mike Smith, the hometown guy.
Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing for Mikel, and I suppose if you were, or I was in that situation, my nose would be put out of joint.
But not a bad move. He knows the track better than any. Mike Smith on board Outstreet. That's the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. Let's take a look at the fillies equivalent then, which happens just an hour earlier, 9:25 UK time. Again, $1 million pot, 1 mile on the turf, and again a race in which we look to the Europeans because French filly Flotilla won it last year. It could go to the French once again this year with top filly Vorder in the lineup. Olivier Pellier on board. She's the Philippe Segorbe trained horse. She's only been defeated once, and that was by a very good colt in No Nay Never in the Prix-Morny. She looks a serious filly. She's got some interesting competition, including the Fillies Mile winner Crescelium in there for the Europeans. The US will be represented by Testa Rossi, and a couple further down the list, Alpha Kira and Flying Jib to mention as well. But Testa Rossi we'll start with, I think. We'll start with the home team if we can, Steve. 3 from 3, unbeaten. She's not put a foot wrong. Possibly not got the best of the draw, though, from what we saw.
No, a draw is also important here, you know, with Shamson drawn in 12, really tough. But look at this move. This is a heck of a move for this individual. And once again, it's Chad Brown, formerly trained in France, goes over to America, Grade 3 winner, a Group 3 winner, and she just fires on all cylinders. Ground will be very interesting for her. This will be the first time it'll be the rattlingly fast ground for her. But she has the pedigree, she has the trainer, she has the jockey, has to be in with, you call her for the home side now, but she is European.
Yeah, well, she is the ex-French runner. All right, 3 from 3. Testa Rossi, the thing with her, when you get the trip notes afterwards, like we have over here, ran on well and the likes of, when they say out in the 5-6 path, brisk hand ride, and she came from 10 lengths back in the ruck. So that only just helps her a touch as far as the way the race is going to be run. We know she's going to be held up, but it will be tough to come from that far back at Santa Anita. And
we saw, of course, Sky Lantern, I should say, suffering that fate last year.
Yeah, it does happen quite a bit around there, so he'll need to be on his game. Well,
let's see if some of the other Americans to mention, Steve. Any others to throw in before we move on to the Europeans?
Well, I'm going to talk about another former European horse. Tommy Stack sold a maiden over to America by the name of Clenor. 8-1, undefeated so far, has a course and distance victory. I think this horse has a very good opportunity. Home course advantage. Interesting when they leave. I mean, couldn't win a maiden at the Curragh Cork and again at the Curragh. Group 3 place behind Bye Bye Birdie and Heart Focus over there. Goes to America, undefeated, loves it over there, loves, well, was on Lasix, no Lasix, of course. That could be a big difference. But there's a big price. Another one of the former Europeans, Irish, who's now one of the hometown horses.
I'll be fascinated to see how they end up betting on the race or what it ends up like, because my Conquistador, drawn right in the outside of the park, she undoubtedly, for me, is the one to beat. But it is it's an absolute shocking stall position. If she can overcome that, absolute champion.
Yeah, it is quite interesting. Mark Cassey, the Canadian-based champion trainer for many a year now, he's doing a tremendous job. A good friend of Mark's, spoke to him. He has never been happier with this horse coming into the race. Worked like an absolute superstar. Has De Silva, the Canadian champion jockey, aboard. Another Brazilian like Silvestre de Souza, doing very well, of course. But Jason's point, 14 of 14. Mark's chin must have hit the ground in California when the draw came out.
Could find it very tough indeed. One filly who won't be inconvenienced by that is Vorder, the French filly for Philippe Segorbe. He only hung up his saddle back in February, Jason, and he's already won a Group 1 with this filly. Here she is finishing in second behind a very good colt in the Coolmore colours, No Nay Never. This was over in the Prix-Morny. She looks a very good horse, and having seen her at Newmarket, she's a stunner as well.
Came back out to win the Connolly's Red Mills Cheveley Park Stakes Group 1 in ready fashion. This was a huge performance. There's a lot to like about her. Of course, all the form ties in well with the best juveniles fillies anyway that we have knocking around, Resina and the likes of. So the form looks incredibly strong. A major player, and well, it certainly would be a huge fill-up for the young trainer.
Are you a fan of Vorder, Steve?
Huge fan of Vorder. I think she's the class of the race. Her race at Newmarket was just so eye-catching. On paper, it doesn't look like it was that good, but it really caught my eye. I think she'll appreciate the ground. She'll appreciate the trip. She's got the right man in Olivier Pellier. He knows his way around California and the Breeders' Cup. Of course, so many great rides on Goldikova over the years. She's the one to beat for me in this race. And I've also mentioned there, Clenor, the ex-Tommy Stack horse, I think has a good chance. And Al Thakiri, I mean, Marco Botti, doing nothing wrong these days. Good draw down on the inside, and he goes to Ryan Moore, who
The
can win these
Rockfell
races.
winner, would you give her a chance?
Sorry?
Rockfell winner, Alpha Cairo?
Yeah, but the thing with Alpha Cairo is at Yarmouth when she won, she's not very big. So she has to make anything she does is going to be this year. So I think it's a big decision by Botti to end up going down this route. So she has to come into... do you know what? I just wish my Conquistadore was drawn down inside. But I'm still going to stick on the hope that she can get a dream passage. Just get that lucky run round from the death box.
So My Conquistadore, the one for Jason. US taking on the French runner Vorder, the selection for Steve in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. And that concludes our look at the Friday Juvenile Turf races.